Hello everyone, my name is Clay, and welcome to another episode of Terminally Nerdy's Indie Impressions, the show where I take a look at independent, non-AAA, and niche titles, giving you my quick first impressions after at least 2 hours of gameplay. Because if 2 hours is good enough for a refund on most of the digital platforms out there, well, it's good enough for me to decide if I like a game or not. And today, we're going to be looking at a game on the Nintendo Switch only, developed by, I want to say it's Marvelous Entertainment, the folks behind Rune Factory of all things, Daemon X Machina. Now, by definition, this really isn't necessarily an indie game. I'd say it's closer to the AA standard. It is incredibly niche. Not a lot of people are going to want to play it, because what you're looking at here is a mech action game with heavy anime overtones. In Daemon X Machina, you're playing an Outer, this sort of genetically superior pilot who can pilot these giant robots called arsenals. And you're basically a mercenary. You're taking jobs to defend what remains of humanity on the Earth after the moon exploded. That's right. The moon exploded, and a chunk of the moon hit the Earth, crashed a whole ton of shit, and woke up Immortals. This sort of sentient AI that is essentially another species. It has its own language, it has its own society, and Immortals hate humans. They want to kill them all. Why? Nobody knows. The Immortals aren't talking. So humanity fights them with machines piloted by humans called arsenals. Because it turns out the Immortals can take over anything with a computer that they can get their hands on. Most of the game is spent dealing with either the Immortals, their AI subordinates, and sometimes other Outers. You see, you're a mercenary, and you'll be taking jobs from what essentially are megacorporations. Groups that are, kind of in charge. This is my territory, I'm this corporation that owns this area, I defend it, and you'll be taking jobs from these different corporations, sometimes in opposing corporations' territory. And on these occasions, other mercenary groups controlled by the AI will be hired to do the opposite of what you're doing, and you end up fighting. The game is very straightforward. You will start every session in a garage, where you can see your mech. You can alter your mech, changing out all 4 weapons. Your mech carries, technically speaking, your mech carries like 6 weapons. But you have 2 weapons for your arms, 2 on what are called pylons that you can switch with your hands. So like you can carry a machine gun in the left hand, a grenade launcher in the right, and then a sword on one pylon and a sniper rifle on the other, and you can rotate the weapons out in your hands, giving you a fair amount of customization and variety during combat. You also get a single shoulder-mounted weapon, and you get an auxiliary weapon, which has a whole bunch of uses. Like, what I had equipped for a lot of it was what was called down boosters, so they would shove me downward instead of upward. Helps rising and descending a lot. And then you will talk to this AI called 4. You will take either a story mission or a free mission, which are side missions, and then you go into a mission map and do the objective. This is where the game kind of breaks down. The objectives aren't super varied. In general, your objectives are going to amount to kill a whole bunch of enemies, kill specific enemies, destroy specific object, protect specific object, escort a thing. Those are your objectives. That's it. Those like 5 things are what you're going to be doing, sometimes in combination. Most of the time it's one thing. Story missions follow this, free missions follow this. The free missions at least can vary things up by giving you alternative objectives or special objectives, like you might get... There was one where I was supposed to kill 2 enemy AI commander units, so I have to find and kill 2 specific targets. But the objectives, the extra objectives for a bigger bonus pay and bigger bonus rewards were things like do it in less than 2 minutes. So you can get some stuff in the free missions that are kind of cool, but by and large, you're doing the same things. This game is heavily story-driven. Although you don't get a lot of cutscenes, you usually get a cutscene before a story mission that'll show you and the other pilots who are accepting it, the people that are going to work with you. And then you'll go into almost like a text messaging screen. And a lot of the conversation is going to be in this text messaging screen. You'll get, message, and you just have to read them. Your character doesn't talk. Your character is the newbie, or as everyone calls you, the rookie, and you just don't talk. So you'll get through that, you'll go into the mission, and your AI is kind of smart, kind of dumb, the AI companions with you. Sometimes they can get themselves killed. And as you go through the mission, they will have conversations. Sometimes when an enemy outer appears, they'll contact you. The problem here is that the gameplay is so hectic and so fast-paced, it becomes very difficult to pay attention to what people are saying mid-mission. I have missed out on entire swaths of conversation because I couldn't focus. I'm like, okay, I got like 9 different enemies flying around me that I'm trying to target and shoot, and you guys are over here talking about some fucking political bullshit from, I don't know, I don't care, I can't focus on you, go away. Now, during the missions, combat is fairly fast-paced. Controls are very customizable. I found the default controls perfectly fine, but when I say customizable, I mean you can rebind literally everything. This game has some of the most robust customization I have ever seen on a console game, by far. It is insane how you can just literally rebind any key to do anything you need it to. Accessibility is the name of the game on this, and that's good, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. You've got your 2 hand weapons, which are on different keys. Mine, they're, I want to say, the R2 and L2. So pressing those buttons at different times will fire the weapons in my left and right hands. The D-pad lets me switch my weapons. One of the buttons, I want to say it's the bottom one, which I think is A, that's my booster, which only goes up. To go down, you have to press and hold the left key and you shut your boosters off. Now, if you've played Armored Core back in the day, this is Armored Core. There you go. If you've played Armored Core, you've played Daemon X Machina. It's even made by the same development team. They just left From Software, came over to Marvelous, and made a new game. And it's fun in short bursts. I found myself over the 4.5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours that I've played it, I find myself doing 1 or 2 missions, then just stopping. Because the missions are repetitive. And it gets kind of grindy. You see, you get random rewards every time you complete the mission. But one of the cool features is every time you destroy an enemy mech, whether it's an enemy outer or an AI mech, you can loot the body. And when you go to the body, you will get a list of parts on that corpse, and some of the parts will be highlighted, and those are the parts you don't have. And you can actually loot them, and as long as you finish the mission, you keep that loot. Thankfully, when you complete a mission, you get 60 seconds to loot any bodies you can get to that you might have missed. So even on the main story missions, when you have enemy outers attacking you, as long as you take some of them down, and their corpses are on the ground, you can loot their mechs. Additionally, and this is something I never got to, you can actually fight outside of your mech. If your mech is destroyed, you will actually be ejected, and you will run around on foot with powers and guns until you can either hijack another mech or you die. I never had to do that, and I never got to any missions where I had to do that, so. One early mission that they show you about the looting thing, which was kind of cool, is you actually start the mission with no weapons, and you actually have to find a corpse of a mech and take its weapon off. This is also a feature that happens during combat if one of your parts is blown off. You take enough damage and you lose an arm. If you kill an enemy and you loot them and you take the kind of arm that you're missing, you will equip the arm and repair your own arm mid-fight. That is also pretty cool. So, this game is $60 on the Switch. It is Switch only. And if you're looking for mecha action, I would advise grabbing it. It is fun. They've already announced more content is coming. So they're developing more to it. There's a PvP mode coming. When I'm recording this video, it's the 28th of September, but I know that they're going to patch in a PvP mode, more co-op missions, more bosses, all sorts of stuff. They're going to have a 1v1 and a 2v2 mode for the PvP. There is a full co-op system in this game. I want to say it's up to 4 people, and you get together and you go and do co-op missions together. There's a whole list of separate co-op missions. It is not the story mode. Story mode is solo, co-op is co-op. They are separate. So, also, the character creator gives you a ton of customization. You actually do get to create your own outer. There's a lot of variety to it, and nothing is linked. So if you pick the male body type, you can still pick female hair and vice versa. You don't really pick your gender, you just pick a body type. Well, actually, take it back. You technically pick a gender, but then you can literally make them do anything because none of the parts are gender locked. So that's nice. Also, I really like the visual style, and the game runs very well. I did not try it undocked. I don't think it would work undocked very well. Also, if you're playing with the Joy-Cons, hooked into the Joy-Con mount by itself, you can do directional aiming. So that's the thing. I play with a Pro controller that does not have the gyroscopes, so I didn't do the directional aiming, and that would probably confuse the hell out of me. So, as always, if you like what I'm doing, feel free to hit that like button. Did you play Daemon X Machina? How do you feel about it? I like it, but like I said, I like it in short bursts. I don't want to play it consistently or continuously or very frequently at all. I'm probably going to wait until they update it a whole bunch and then go back and play it. So, you can follow me on social media at Terminally Nerdy. Visit my website, terminallynerdy.com, for more videos, more content, tons of written stuff. I do written reviews, big old long honking things, so if you like that sort of thing, go check that out. And as always, be kind to each other, treat each other well, thank you, and stay nerdy, everybody. Have a great one.